What? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Is it popping on yours?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. It's your boy Jerome
Brr.
Arab,
And this is your man's Mr Chiwaz.
and we're about to kick it off talking about puberty. So today we're talking pretty much that period in your life where your body starts to change and things start to happen. You know, a bunch of hormones are released that you never ever dealt with, and yeah, things start turning. So
I feel like we should have a female female species at one of these.
yeah,
I think that
so
would be
I try to cover that, and the reason why we're having this conversation is I try to get my sister involved,
yeah.
but she been busy. But I've got a few women to comment about their period, that period in their lives, to kind of give us also our outlook. But before I read what these women wrote, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about what your experience was like.
Like my
Yeah,
experience.
like you going through puberty. What was that like for you?
Did I
What do you remember?
did I even do I even remember, boy? Well, my voice got a little bit deeper, even though my wife still thinks it's squeaky. But
Yeah, my voice got a little bit deep.
yeah, it's just, it is what it is. Um, no, I think what I remember the most is my curiosity became greater. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know, like I was like at some point I was like, whoa, I never not that I liked, like, I was all over girls and whatever when I was growing up, nay. But at some point, when I got to that age, I became more aware of my own self, but also aware of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was quite I think what's going on, because I grew around a few dudes, but a lot of like ladies, like my sisters, and most of my friends growing up were girls, and we were just chilling, like they were part of the crew, bro. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, at some point,
Just like,
and we were at like similar ages, right? At some point, things changed. Like it's like what we used to play when we were growing up just completely changed. You know what I'm saying? So that raised some curiosity. That's how I remember it.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and also the friendships also kind of started kind of not being very, you know, uh,
Plutonic.
yeah, like it was weird, bro, because I think I remember this one girl that I grew up with, and we stayed in the same neighborhood, same, like, she was our neighbor, but we grew up and we were homies, bro, and we're the same age. And then all of a sudden, like, she used to wear, like, she was a tomboy, bro. We called her like tomboys, blah blah, And all of a sudden, when we got to a stage, that stage of puberty, like, all of a sudden she's wearing dresses, and I'm noticing, bro. I'm like, yo, Kati, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, and also her responses towards me, it was so different, bro. I don't know if that makes sense.
No. It makes a lot of sense. It makes
That's
a lot
how
of
that's
sense.
how that's how I remember it, bro.
It makes a lot of
Yes,
sense.
sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I mean, I had my cousins and stuff around me that were girls about the same age, and plus my sisters. So there was Fozy, my sister, Sharifa, my cousin, Nicole, my cousin, and then myself. So there's like four of us.
Mhm.
So the girls always played with the girls, and I played by myself majority of the time. Um, Even when I was growing up, I never really
Yes,
like
sir.
mixed with the girls. I liked it like
Right.
so when I started to go through puberty, it never really affected me amongst my family. Like I didn't,
Right.
or even close friends. Like I didn't see anything change as much. What actually had happened is my cousin had come back. I'm not going to mention any names because that now is a bit, now that's the close. So she came to live with us, and I was like, wow, she's a woman, in your head. But I was like, oh, okay. And she's an older cousin. She must have been older than me by about 5 years.
Mm.
So I was about 13, 12, 13, feeling these changes. And yeah, she was obviously like 16, 17. So I was like, rah, okay. And then I ended up having to sleep in her room with her because all the girls like had taken up the one room. We only had like 3 bedrooms in our house. And I remember the one time she walked into the room with just a towel on because she was changing. Like she had come out of the shower. And she dropped the towel as normal. And that was the first time I was like, because I mean, I changed in front of my sisters, in front of my mom, like I never ever thought like that. But I remember that, like that person, I looked and I was like, rah. And that was the first time I actually covered my face because
something had.
Yeah, I had acknowledged like, ooh, this is not the same. This is a very different feeling. You know what I mean?
Was there any influence? Sometimes they say like, you hear like, oh, you were looking at, or you watched this film, or you watched, was there anything like that, or it was just on automatic? It's like our little kids. Me, you, being a dad, right?
Yeah.
You see how this little bambino starts doing some naughty stuff, and you're like,
where did you learn that?
Where did you learn that from? Like, we haven't mentioned this, we haven't even done this, but already she's like, Yeah. So here's an example. Yeah. I don't know why we always use our kids. We've been teaching her to sit on a potty, right? Potty training. Oh, things are what? 1, 2, 3 things are doing great, bro. Like, so now we're like, hey, for her to talk and to tell us, hey, I need to go, we can reward her for a little bit, to say, hey, you've done good. So, we do this one smarty per potty. We call it a potty smarty.
Hey!
Yes, please. Yes, that's a lyric, Shaman.
I'm ready for that one.
So all of a sudden, like 2, 3 weeks in, we're excited. She goes on to the party, happy clappy. We come into the kitchen, open the container, and she normally just grabs one of her own choice, whatever color. All of a sudden, bro, one day, and I kid you not, her mom's was here. I say, take your smartie. Hey, this little bambino, bro, put her finger in there, and then I could see her hacking with what? With the other finger. My guy. So I let it happen, but I was in shock, boy. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, and then, did you take your smartie? She's like, yeah. I said, how many did you take? And these kids they can't lie. She looks, she goes, 1. I said, nah, put it back. Anyway, for losing the plot here. My issue is, would it be because of something that you would have seen or something you would have heard? Because for me, I don't remember hearing or watching. We never watched bad TV. We're not allowed anyway to watch.
We say that, but think about it this way. Yeah, my music videos and even certain TV shows without even realizing, or it was like you'd think something as innocent as.
I actually remember Beverly Hills 9012234. That one. I remember now.
So those things subconsciously, they're already there. Like I remember around that time, there was that track by Peter Andre, which seemed quite innocent. Oh, mysterious girl, I wanna get close to you. So close to you, my baby. I stopped to stare at you. And as he sings that lyric, there's like a chick in like a bikini walking on the beach. Bro, they've been feeding us this thing, peaches and cream, 112, all of that stuff is just.
And Cisco.
So
Yeah, you know what? Actually, coming to think about it, bit by bit, that also acts in. Yeah, it
it all
adds.
adds up. It all adds up. And that's what I'm
Mm,
saying. Like the awkward thing for me is because I was still small. I was never ever a big own, and thing.
mm,
And I was always hairy. I was hairy from young. So my puberty felt like it was going on for like 10 years, bro. Like it just felt like
yeah, man.
my voice never really dropped until like high school, towards the end of high school.
Mm.
Um, but all of these feelings came a lot sooner than that. Like I've always had a beard, I've always had a mustache. Like I had a beard in like grade 7.
Sha, don't even. Sha, I've never shaved him, man. Huh? Anyway, anyway.
So these things hit me, and
Mm.
because I was small, I could never ever get the attention that I wanted from the girls my age. And that hurt me because I assumed, and I don't mean like sexual attention. That's no, I'm just saying attention, general attention. It's like when you're going through that age, you want to be boyfriend and girlfriend. You want to hold hands. You want to go for movies. You want to not French kiss, but you want to kiss. Hey, I kissed her. Like you want. You remember those
Yes, sir.
feelings,
Yes, sir.
and you're feeling to do that with somebody. But then everyone my age looked at me funny, like, oh, he's small, he's this, he's that. So puberty for me just made me really uncomfortable, like really, really uncomfortable around women. I went from being the sweet boy who wrote letters and put himself out there to really being attracted to one chick, trying to pursue her, who was my cousin's friend. Lucky I went to PE, so there was no girls around.
Yes, sir.
But I tried to pursue this one character, and she completely like had me like gone. That was my first kiss. That was it. I thought that was marriage, bro.
Mm,
I
mm.
was like, she kissed me, and she kissed me long. It was a, hey, I'm married. This is it. I'm married. So, and most girls going through puberty, I found like with guys, there's no explanation.
Great.
I found there was no explanation. Like nothing comes from your father, nothing comes from your brothers, nothing comes from
Yo, hey, hey, hey.
even nothing. You get zero.
Our
Zero.
our our traditional parents will, yo, you can't even dare, even
You,
start a conversation.
you are becoming a man now, so there are games you must not play. Okay? Let me not catch you playing mommy and daddy. That game is not for you anymore.
Mm,
You get those type of conversations from like your mother, not even your father. Like as a guy, I found zero, and I find that like with women, at least they tell the girl like, no, it's okay. Well, and I don't think it makes it okay. I just think that parents in general, they're very vague about these things. They're not actually checking up on you like, how are you? Are you okay? And it's a lot of self-discovery, all over again.
now, though, it's parents now.
Mm,
You remember we're talking about the modern, which
mm-hmm.
comes with its own faults, which comes with its own hardships. But it's parents now that I feel kind of sit down with their kids.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not saying all old school parents or all parents our generation were not like that. I think my parents were aware; they were very much aware that we're reaching a certain stage in our lives.
Yeah.
But I felt like they thought if they set us down, they would trigger something for us to even start
Thinking
thinking for
that
me to
way.
experiment on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's how they thought it was, but not realizing that as a human being, your curiosity builds up so quickly, bro.
Yeah.
And these things were coming anyway because they've been through that stage. But
Mm.
it was so this respect and we can't really talk about it. And I remember the only time maybe we discussed something was when I was already in trouble, and that was not even a discussion now. That was me being
Too much.
set as an example of what not to do to get a spanking or to get like a grounding of some sort. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah. And
Yeah.
that makes me wonder, will we talk to our kids about it? Like will we be the kind of parents where we're like we want to be very open with our kids, and they can feel free to come and sit down and chat. But I'm also thinking in my head, like, to what extent though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel like that's where you need like friends, like an aunt or an uncle that's really close to your child. So like, and I do feel that sex wise, if it's coming from, as in not sex, as in gender, gender wise, if it's coming from a woman to a girl, it makes a lot more sense. And I'm not saying that it can't come from a man. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if you have the option of having a woman that your child looks up to, if you have a female child, or a male if you have a boy that your child looks up to, speak to them about these things and communicate with them openly, and making sure that these people are present during that period.
yeah,
It helps a lot, because it's like, it's a normal process. It's a normal thing. So we have to be able to get them to understand that it's normal. My sister shared, and a few of my friends shared on my Instagram what they went through, and things like acne, and
yeah. I saw the acne one earlier.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
And there's even like someone said quite openly, I wish there was someone to tell me that it's normal to whip the pad out, as a female, to just like take the pad out and go and change my thing, and not be embarrassed about having my period, because it's normal. You understand what I mean? And that's what I mean. It's kind of like the kid that catches a boner and is unaware like of what to do, and it's like it can actually be like, I remember at the swimming pool, King, I didn't jump out of the pool at one point because I was like, oh, what just happened?
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
it's like you're in fear of the norm. And if I had even had the idea that this could have possibly happened to me at that point, like, at least even me being able to confidently say to one of my teammates, yo, do you mind passing me my towel? And and it's a normal thing. You understand what I mean? It's get out quickly, wrap up, and walk off. But it's like you feel so like there's something, like you've done something wrong half of the time. It's hard for you to be brave about it.
Yeah. Thanks to Adam and Eve. Eh? Why? Why? All of a sudden we get very curious, and we're like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? No, but on a real note, yeah, like I understand where you're coming from, and it just so what. Maybe it's a question, or like, did you? Yeah, it is a question. How did you find? Like, did you find someone who then, as you said, you didn't talk to the parents, did you ever get a chance to then sit down, like at that age, in that kind of like age gap, to speak to? And also, if not, then was it more like a learn as you go, like, oh, this is what it is?
It's life, G. Like,
Yeah.
my cousins then influenced me. Like, I lost my virginity due to peer pressure, and it was around that period. Like I remember it so like vividly. Is my cousin had invited these girls round, house was empty, and I was like, okay, not even interested, because there was two older cousins and we're drinking. I was only like 14,
And you were drinking too at that
Yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's another story. But anyway, so due to the peer pressure, my one cousin, the one that's in between me and my older cousin, he got too drunk to entertain our guests. So he's passed out on the couch. Then me and this girl, she's a really good friend of mine, so I'm not going to mention any names. We end up in the room, and it's just like there's a box of condoms, and my cousin's like, yeah, I should just do it. It's fine. Whoa, lose it, and oh, it's okay. And when it happened,
You're 14.
yeah, it's 14, I was 13 and a half, 14, 13, yeah, 14, 14, I
Eh,
think.
and you're getting that kind of advice.
Yeah, my cousin was
Sure.
17, 18.
Ooh, okay, 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 okay.
But this is what I'm saying, is if the conversation came from somebody I looked up to in a positive light.
Mm.
My parents had introduced me to somebody that could have helped me through that period. Is the advice I would have got, I probably wouldn't have lost my virginity at that age. But if you leave it open to anyone to discuss these
Mm.
feelings, it's then you're risking your child getting caught up in such situations.
Okay, so you reminded me. Sorry, when you're sharing this, you're just reminding me of someone posted about, was it DMX
Yeah,
recently, and he was sharing about how hard his life was when he was young, because he had someone who was a role model to him, and that role model was everything to him, and then all of a sudden, this role model, introduces him to drugs.
yeah.
And he says at that time, I also was going, why would he do this to me? Like, I don't, he knows I'm young, but he says, but just the fact that he was a role model and this whole peer pressure kind of thing, he says that's what led him to, so yeah, it's easy at a young age to fall into that if you have no other avenue or no other person or no other guide, right? So, wow, wow. See,
So
I'm just going wow because I'm like, in this situation, I never had like, bro, I was a bang oak, bro. Like, I remember my first girlfriend. She claimed that we were girlfriend and boyfriend. It was like this chick from, her name was Chantal. She was like in India, Pakistani. Yeah, man. I used to run away from a heavy boss. Like, I used to flee, my guy. That's how I was with. I just felt weird, right? So it's, can you imagine though at that time, again, as you said, if then my surrounding or the people who were around, who surrounded me or I surrounded myself with, were like, yo, this, like, done deal, right? Like, at that age, you can't really say I can make my own decision. I mean, there's some kids who are powerful now, but it's kids who have been brought up
in
by
a certain
parents
way,
and
yeah,
raised, yeah, who will say even at 14,
yeah.
nah, man, I ain't
It's
gonna.
not for me. And
Yeah,
that's the
well,
thing.
well.
That's the thing is I've always been, as I say, I've always been the smallest of the lot. I've
Mm,
always been, I've always been passionate about arts, but I've always had to prove myself because I was
mm.
small. So it's like in the pool, it was like I had to put in extra energy just to keep up. Never mind swim faster. Then do you understand what I mean?
Mm, mm.
On the track, the same thing. So even though I was small, I've always had to prove myself because I was,
So, so you compensated
yeah,
your stature, like your physical, I'm not being seen, with, if I do something like this and there's a bigger platform, that was you being a giant now. Mm,
bro.
okay.
Bro, if you look at it like, and that's what I'm saying. Speaking about me personally,
Mm,
is in primary school, I I tried football, soccer, and I sucked at it. I
mm,
wasn't good at it. But there was like 200 boys, kicking the ball. So it's like, wow. So I went to go and play rugby and I was great at it. And then I played hockey and I was great at it. I done swimming and I was great at it. I basically played cricket and I was great at it. But I wasn't great because I just picked up the bat and I was good. I was like, okay, everyone else is average. I can actually pass these people just by spending a little bit more time. So
mm.
I'll train myself constantly just to impress. You understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Constantly trying to impress. And that's what I'm saying is at that age, when you start to have these feelings, is if they're not guided, I feel, then it is hard to find yourself. And you will turn to anything that gives you some sort of security. And for some people, it might be, as I say, it might be school. Like some people
Mm,
get a lot better at school during those periods because it's something they can focus on that they know they've got control over.
hmm.
You know, some people get better at sports. It's like, okay, because the energy is being used in a certain way. And that's what I say, kids that have too much time, when those feelings strike, that's when you get all of this madness and teen pregnancies and stuff. It's like, it's obvious, it's clear. It's just like we're not engaging them. We're not actually looking at it and explaining to them what they're going through. You know.
Yeah, puberty doesn't mean age of legality. You've come off that age. Puberty just means you're hormonal wise or whatever wise you're growing. You know what I mean? So I think that's what I sense as a challenge a lot.
Yeah.
Just obviously being someone who came through that phase,
Yeah.
but in a different era
Yeah.
compared to the era now.
Mm.
Like I watch, as you said, like I watch, I talk to, I volunteer, I coach. So you see the how different it is this generation when people hit that mark of puberty. It's no longer this curiosity of some sort, but it's a more like I'm a grown dude
They
woman, or I'm
know.
a grown dude man, and I'm gonna do this, like,
They
and
know.
that's
This is what we don't realize. We didn't know. As much as we knew, we didn't know. Like, even if someone said something like wanking, I didn't know what wanking was until I was like 16.
mm,
Like, I remember my cousin and them making jokes with, like, and my older cousins, same thing. Where they're like, do you use Vaseline when you wank? And I was like, what is this wanking thing that you're talking about? Because I was a kid and we were doing what kids do. Nowadays, you could ask a 9-year-old about that stuff and they can tell you.
yeah, I think it's just the era we're in.
But they just got
um,
more access, G. Like, they've been exposed to a lot more.
yeah, I think definitely that's one thing, but also, again, as I said, that's why I'm saying, like, the modern parenting has its pros, but it definitely has huge flaws too, because that's the form of, well, and it's also because of the command or the demand of parents having to provide for family. So right now, with everything that's going on, it's no longer, that's why us staying home with our kids, is now, like, is taboo to most people,
Yeah,
because for them the system says, and with all these legalities and rights of this, rights of that, like, we all go, I want to make money, I also want to make money, so therefore baby can just go to daycare, which is fine, or baby can, or our high school kid, we can just buy them an iPad, and they can spend time at home after school because we'll be at work, da, 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 da. So we do have a role that we've played
yeah,
in, as parents or as grown-ups, in the, not the downfall, in the challenges that young people have now.
yeah. I mean,
Because I'm just comparing with how we grew up. We had our own issues too,
yeah,
but we didn't have too much access on with
yeah.
certain things, right?
But remember, the internet didn't exist like that. You know, we were not yet on as advanced as we are nowadays. Nowadays, you
Oh,
have access to everything.
yes,
So
sir. I mean, that those days were there were 3310s, my guy.
if you were lucky, you
Mm,
understand what I mean? It wasn't a given. You never had a
yes,
phone.
sir.
It wasn't a given. I used to use my mother's phone for most of my high
Oh
school.
yeah, yeah. That was my dad's phone, and obviously I was using it to play Snake.
But this
Yes,
is
sir.
exactly why I'm saying is, like, due to access, kids are being exposed to a lot more. So if you do not have these things
So don't you think we should be talking about this more with the kids, or being more aware?
we
Like,
need to we need to be able to cut out majority of the things that they have access to. So instead of leaving an iPad open and letting your kids surf the net as freely as you think, because they're 13, it's like, actually no. It's like, these are the sites that they have access to and that is it. And even in terms of them searching alone, they should be monitored. Like, that
mm,
iPad should be monitored. We talk about Instagram and things like that. Your kids should not be on Instagram until they're the age of like 15, 16.
okay, big ups to a certain family in my neighborhood that I when I moved here, they blew my mind. Okay,
Yeah.
because you're coming from a place like you're coming from Africans, you're like, we're raised like this, you know. But there's couples out here who are trying the most and doing the most. Now
Yeah.
this family's got all the kids are now teens.
Yeah.
Okay, but my wife used to babysit them when they were still young, and then I moved here and we went there and we just babysat for a couple of times, right? But the one thing I saw about these parents, bro, the way they teach their kids is insane. It's great because I'll tell you what, the oldest child, even when they started working through high school, right? You got your part-time jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
They managed, like she managed to raise money, but she still didn't get a phone until now. She just went to university now. She just started her own Instagram page now. She, you know what I mean? Like, but it's just the way they were raised by their parents. Like they did have phones, especially for assignments. They would have like an iPhone, but it never had like any internet or whatever. Well, if they wanted to search, they would all search on the tablet that they monitored,
Yeah.
and it was well done. You know what I'm saying? Like I was blown away, and even up until now, bro, I'm like, whoa, man, I wanna if I can be like that, you know what I'm saying? But these days, that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes these days, with just the way we think we're doing the right thing with our kids, and saying, like, I don't want them to cry too much, or I don't want them to be angry, so let me do this. You're still a child, bro. I struggle with that. Where I'm like, where has this gone to?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's trickling in even within our education systems now, right?
Oh yeah.
Where teachers are not protected, right? The kids are the ones who have the say. And then you find that even parents who are parenting their kids their own way then say the teacher is not right, I'm right. And then the kids come to the school and it's just crazy, right?
It is madness.
But yeah, it's just madness, right? But that's the world that we're living in. But then within those huge flaws, what am I as Ship doing as a parent
Yeah.
to make sure that at least my daughter is raised well at this moment in time? It's all these things to the time that they get to a point of puberty,
Yeah.
and know how to handle those situations. So
The beautiful thing about the internet is you have access to information. You yourself as a parent. You understand what I'm saying? Is you can
100%.
connect. Like I put out that post on Instagram because I was genuinely interested in the female perspective of puberty. And the reason being is I wanted to see how different it is. And you realize it's quite similar still. It's like, yes, they have their period and they get pains and cramps like that, which we would never understand as men. But the emotional journey that they were going on, when I was reading the stuff, I was like, raw, I remember that. I remember feeling lost. I remember feeling like there was something wrong with me. Like whenever my thing started to, it was like, ooh, okay, there's something wrong. It wasn't like this is normal. And you learn your body and you learn what triggers this. And it wasn't that. It was just simply like, okay, this is happening. It's wrong. I need to find a way to cover this up and
So
hide.
instead of embracing it, it's like a taboo shocker. Instead of embracing it and going, yeah, this is part of life and it's great. Like, you're
Yeah.
becoming of that.
Of age, you're becoming more like your father. You're becoming more like your mother.
Or
Like
you're
you.
building your own characteristics now. It's like
Yeah, but as in, yeah, like you're becoming a man, and you are. It's just part of the journey. Like things are happening in order to make you become a man. And by us speaking about these things in that context, where it's like it's normal. You're not the first person to go through it. You're not the last. And all your friends that may be laughing now, don't worry. If you're an early bloomer, they're gonna go through it too. You understand what I mean? And you should be able to tell your kid to tell their friends when their friends think that it's a joke. Like, hey guys, don't worry. It happens to everyone. So it's gonna happen to you as well, It's a normal thing. Oh, your voice breaking. You remember how that awkwardness, that awkward speech. Your voice.
Yeah.
So, hey, what's going
Even when
on?
I was like, because we used to sing at church, right, in the
Yeah.
Sunday school. Ipapo now, ipapo. You know, like my voice was, a nice vibrato, and Jerome high pitch, and then all of a sudden, ipapo.
1 second, bro. 1 second. 1 second. I'm
Yes,
coming
sir.
back.
Yes, sir. Anyway, just a moment to save whoever's out there who's going to watch this. Hope you're well at that point in your life, and hope you're keeping safe, keeping healthy, and keeping your body healthy is fantastic, but also keeping this healthy is fantastic. We are going through the craziest times. Well, to us in our generation, but I'm just going to give you like positivity. Let's be positive.
Hey, my G. Sorry about that.
Yeah, man. Don't worry. I was talking to the camera and to
What
the,
you tell them? What you tell them?
to the millions. I was just telling them, hey guys, my album is out. It's called Lost Tape. It will not be in any store near you.
Yeah.
Nah. For on a real though, bro. Like I appreciate us discussing this thing again, because all these little topics we always touch on
Yeah.
to kind of throw you back a little bit into where you've come from, or where you started,
Yeah.
and to realize that, hey, we've been through a journey and still continuing to be, and there's a generation that is coming,
Yeah.
our kids who are going to go through. There's things that will change, like right now our world has changed, but there's things within the human body or the
Yeah.
human process of getting to a certain stage in their lives that doesn't change, which will always be the same.
Yeah.
So it just gives me this, we're still human beings.
Yeah. We have to, and that's the thing is, I think we have to. It's about being aware of these conversations that you're not
Yes.
having. You have to also ask yourself as a parent, where are they going to have these conversations if I'm not having them with my children? If I don't, I get that we say we don't want to be friends, like like we don't want friendly, hey, where there's no lines. Like I don't believe in that. I believe that you're still a parent and they should know that. Like my father is my friend now. Like now, like that's my G. Like I can call him up and be like, Dad, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like this, or this has gone bad. Hey, I need you to bail me out. You understand what I mean? Like in terms of if financially something happens, I'll call my dad and I'll let him know first. He's my first person, my go-to guy. But when
What created that? Yeah, exactly. What created that platform? What set it up to you now being friends? Because
the key for me was I was lucky that I'm a very strong character, and I picked up on a lot of the traits that were good about my dad, and I've also learned, like I think I've learned empathy to a certain extent. I can't say that I've mastered it, but the art of empathizing means I'm able to put myself in everyone's shoes when I'm trying, like when we talk, I'm like, rah, this is how Sheppy's feeling. You know what I mean? Like he's probably coming from this space due to all of these experiences. So even like with my dad, I remember we had a conversation about life, and I think my dad for the longest time felt like he for the way he's worked, he's like, yo, like Zim, everyone lost everything, G. Everything. Like our parents were saving. Like my Bali had sheets. My Bali had sheets.
Bro, please, let's not go there, because I've got memories of me eating a dairy pot ice cream 3 times a day, almost like it's a breakfast, a lunch, and a supper, because my parents could afford. People who are watching now, you might not understand.
Bro, I used to have, and that's what I'm saying. Like my father worked. We used to have pizza every day for lunch. Coming from nursery school with the driver take me to go and play video games at my father's workplace. And then he lost all of that, and it broke him. But my sisters didn't see that. Like my sisters didn't see what happened to my dad during that period. But I did. Like I remember when I got back to Africa, I was like, dude, doesn't matter what it looks like, what you actually have done for. all the
Mm-hmm.
family and for us is worth all more than all that money you think you lost, and we'll get that back. We will. Like that bag, I said, I got you. Give me time. I got you. But as I say, empathy is. I just think that that's what saved me. Is through life, I studied people because of theater, so I started to learn a lot more, and I'm always open to being wrong. You know, like I actually like to someone. I like someone to give me a new perspective, and prove that some of the learnings that I've kind of adapted are wrong, because it means that I can grow. You know,
Yes,
I
sir.
can develop new ideas, and I think that's what it was. Is that period he thought I was lost, but I clung on to theater, and I stuck to entertainment, and I never ever once gave up on it. And I think that's what made him look at me and go, "You're a very strong character, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you'll speak your mind regardless." I
Once you
mean,
focus on something too, yeah, it brews up a certain respect, right?
yeah,
I
that
mean, like for sure. I think that's the how men like our dads kind of gauge that. Okay, boy is for real. I'm gonna give him a bit of that respect. You know what I mean? And that's also how my mom looked at me and went, "Yeah, this boy is gonna go through his puberty stage. He's gonna go through his growing up, his what 20s and whatever. But we will not be worried because they saw certain characteristics where they were like, okay, I'm not worried about this guy.
he'll find his.
It, yeah, and it builds you up because to be honest, as much as I was a rebellious child, like what they said and did for me impacted the is what is part of who I am today. Even the successes, right?
Yeah,
And I'm not talking about even financial success because I haven't even reached where my dad was. Like
yeah,
honestly,
we're
those
far.
guys, bro, because where we were at and the way things just changed overnight,
Yeah,
it just doesn't show anymore, right? That our parents really were like
they,
real true hustlers, boy.
they
You know what I'm saying?
grafted. They grafted.
They
Yeah,
were grinding 24/7.
yeah,
But those same principles are the ones that I have managed to carry with me even to where I am now.
yeah,
Because I knew even when I decided not to go to the same, let's say for example, I know we're talking puberty here, but we're almost done anyway. But talking about my parents were always wanting the best for their kids
mm,
from whatever age to hey, I would love, like we had the talk about sex and whatever when things went a bit off at some point in my life and in
yeah,
my brother's life, like they were like, we've got to talk about this.
mm,
So I remember even those talks they had, you know like they like our best interests.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So they wanted the best for us, and then they were like, okay, well, let's talk about it, and then we did. And they're like, but at the end, this is the story. As much as you think maybe we were being this to you, you're gonna leave. And remember, yeah, well, the moment you turn whatever and you start making those sheets, it's time for you to start thinking along those lines. You know what I'm saying? We're not kicking you out, but you got to be your own man because at some point you're going to be someone else's husband and someone else's dad. And
yeah,
at that time it felt like you're saying Osha, you're chasing me. Like oh Shimzi, you know what I'm saying? Like, phew. Hey, that felt good by the way to speak my native language. Hey, I only speak English here, boy. No. Anyway, so those things are huge, bro. And that's what I try and continue just saying in my head. I'm like, we're in a different era. There's certain things that I would grab from my parents or from my dad that I was taught and go, thank you, but it won't work now in the demographic that I am at,
yeah.
you know? So, man, like we've got these platforms too. Because we're talking as dads. Our parents never had this.
No, no,
Here's another good thing, bro, about media and all these tools that we have.
yeah,
We can either bosh on it,
yeah,
sleep on it,
yeah,
or be breezy scrolling, checking out the worst things because we're at home, or we do this, right? And say, hopefully, we can start getting even parents to start going, hey, maybe it's good to sit down and say, how are you doing to our kids? Or the kids that don't have that platform can, or people, not even kids, people who don't have that platform to, or time or whatever to sit down, then this is something that they could basically
Yeah.
just take reference to.
Yeah.
Was still, every day is a journey, my guy.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Like King, I guess what we're saying is the conversations need to be had. Like you have to speak to your children. You have to ask them about how they're feeling and what they're going through at all stages of their life. Like don't just ask once. Like I hate people that think, but I asked. I said how they, and then it's like no. Actually sit down and say, hey,
Yes,
remember,
sir.
this
Yes,
is
sir.
what I'm here for. If
Yes,
you're
sir.
going through anything, I've got you. And do it regularly. Like make sure that they know that that window is there. Because when things go bad, you you can't undo that. It's like
Mm.
I'm not, and that's the one thing I kind of also take away from this is I think modern day parents also we do a lot of babying, as you say, babying our kids, where it's like they cry and you're giving them the phone. It's like no, my G. It's like no, the phone or
Us right now, it's not the phone, it's Kleenex. Like, bro, when she cries for anything, like, even if she knows she's doing something wrong, bro, we've gone through 2 boxes of Kleenex this week on one little bambino who's 2 years old. Because mommy, for me, I'm like, no, Shandi. When mommy comes back from school, from work, and she's like, mommy, and then we're like, why are you crying? Mommy's home. You should be happy. And then she says, oh, my eye, I need Kleenex. Uh, my guy, me, I'm like, no. I spent a whole day with you. Kleenex. Do you know how much this paper is? Yeah. So you see, like it's all these things, bro. Like we were like, we've got to, yeah. These kids, we are okay. uh, The kids are a blessing to us, bro.
yeah,
But I always look at it in a religious part of it for me.
yeah,
Okay, God has blessed me with a family,
hmm
but I should remember that she's not mine to keep,
no,
but she's mine to raise
yes,
and
yeah,
to do the best that I can.
yeah,
And then just go, hey, Apple, now you start figuring things out. So we shouldn't take this for granted. Like, this is great, bro. Like, because at the end of the day, I'm like, maybe one day our kids will sit down and watch this. I think they will. You know what I'm saying? But maybe someone else's child needed to hear this, or someone else's parent needed to hear not everything that we're saying, but maybe these little things that they pick up and go, oh,
that makes sense.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So this is great for me, bro. Like, it's good for us to continue, you know, talking about real life stuff. I mean, we can talk about what you call this what's this anime stuff or maybe pembe fantasy stuff whenever, but right now I think the world needs realness.
yeah,
Just strip down, back to the basics, and let's just
yeah,
talk.
yeah.
So this is good, bro. This is fantastic. Ish,
Perfect.
that
Thank you.
hoodie. Wait, that hoodie. How many colors?
Eh?
Wait, that hoodie. It's very nice.
I'm actually ordering hoodies. I've told you I need to send you the thing anyway, but I
Yes,
am ordering hoodies.
but let's do this. You're sending me the thing. Find out how much it will cost to just send me done hoodies. Let me just support at first as well, please.
I'd rather let's stick to our business plan. But
Okay.
anyway, people, yeah, as he said, you'll be able to get your hoodies.
You'll be
Make
able
sure
to
you.
cop your hoodie. Cop your hoodie.
Oh, sorry, cop
Hey,
your hoodies. Yeah, you guys can cop
cop.
your hoodies. Check out my pages.
Hey, if not, why not, right? Like, hey, let me do the marketing, Mr. Chiwaz way. Yo, listen, this is Mr. Chiwaz. It was great to have you guys on board. And before we leave, I just want to say shout out to the brother, Mr. Jerome, the great Ahab. You know what I'm saying? He's wearing his hoodie. That's his merch right there, guys. If you need to know more about what the logo stands for, holla at your boy. Send him a DM. He is more than happy to chat, have a chatter. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, I would never sell products, boy, like this. No. No, but on the real though, this has been precious as usual. Just a shout out to those who are going to be watching this. Just remember,
Listening in, yeah.
life is a journey, and we journey together.
Yeah.
Me and Jerome are what, thousands and thousands of chakutis apart, right?
Yeah.
But we connecting, and I feel like even the friendship is growing more, like
Yeah.
genuinely, because of stuff like this. So let's get talking, you know, and keep it real.
100.
100, man.
Let's talk session. I don't even know what number we on right now, but
Prah.
thank you guys for tuning in
Yes,
and
sir.
stay blessed.
Bless up, bro.
Bless up. Peace.
Cheers.